Whoa. Okay. They like spoke harmonies. They spoke harmonies. That's crazy.
It also can be modified from an octahedron to a tetrahedron by adjusting the dowel tips on the bands. It is a model that best illustrates Tenzuruji's properties of 3D expansion and contraction.
I believe that.
The pelvis model is obviously the most akin to human structure. It illustrates the 3 planes of movement of the pelvis. Oh.
What?
And maybe this isn't...
It's also a nice hat. It's pretty. Can we do the introduction like this?
Yes, wait, actually, please. So now you're acting to the 6-member girl group I-DLE, or in Korean, Yoja Idol, and this is their B-side called Blow Your Mind, released on their 2019 I Made album. The song has a goofy music video made by the members themselves, dedicated to their fans. The lyrics are about a person being driven crazy by their crush. The song, was composed by Flobo and the I-DLE member Minnie.
I love these fan videos. I think that these are some of my favorite K-pop videos. So let's see how this one goes.
It's good introduction.
Seems like a very short song though. I want it to be longer.
Oh.
I like it already. Sounds like you're underwater or in a bathroom at a party.
Oh.
This is so cool. That bass.
Yeah, the bass is really good.
The bass is so subtle yet so present.
Okay. Ooh, I like the major minor. There's already a major minor clash.
This feels very intimate, partially just because like the voice sounds really close. There's not that much like other instruments happening, and then we're also seeing sort of what looks like raw footage of them.
Exactly. Oh my god, I really like the instrument timbres in this. Like the piano, it's a very unique sound.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, 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 oh.
Yeah, and the bass speeds up rhythmically.
Oh.
Whoa! Wow, okay. A welcome addition to this song.
And it's not triplets, even though it's for half.
Whoa. Okay. They like spoke harmonies.
Ooh,
They spoke harmonies. That's crazy.
Like, does it sound to you like it's going, like, using quarter tones a little bit? Like it's, like, sliding?
I was about to say,
yeah.
Structure of the song is very weird.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, this is catchy. This has got good form.
This has good form.
I can't get enough of that.
Like the auto-tune use.
Wow! Ooh, it just suddenly ended. That's like the opposite of a fade out.
I liked this strange little like sample that they had that was like kind of the post-chorus a little bit. And I'm not sure like how they got that sound, but it like because the actual like sounds when you listen to them in your headphones feel like they're right next to you. It felt like somebody was saying it into your ear, and it felt really close. And that's the thing that I thought was coolest about this song, is that it like not only did it feel like we were hanging out with them by watching this video, like seeing them, you know, be themselves and just enjoy each other's company, but like because all of the sounds are really dry and just like recorded really close and not really distorted that much, you know, it really felt personal, like they were like in the room with you, and that's probably the kind of
that they're going for.
Yeah, that's definitely what they were going for.
Yeah, and that has to do with the mixing too, how the instruments feel close and far away, and how they bring, like at the beginning you were talking about how those initial sounds felt like it was way there, and then it comes a lot closer, and it's how it sounds.
And you know, the music video is kind of like that too. It's like polished casual, and that's not something that you usually get in these like
That's
Korean
what it
music
is.
videos. You
Polished
usually
casual.
get like this ultra polished, this is perfection, and all the dance moves are perfectly in sync all the time. And this is just like if you took a home video and then you paid someone who was an absolute expert at editing to be like, here's your music video. And it's really good.
I agree.
That was really, really cool. I was super intrigued by like the choice of timbre they made for choice of timbre they made for a lot of. Jeez, Claude.
It's a lot of
professionals.
We're professionals.
The choice of timbre that they made for a lot of their instruments was super interesting. I'd never heard that, or I think I'd never heard that timbre piano before the intro. It was very light and it stood out, but it was super gentle. They started off cool. They muted everything. The bass like stood out.
They started like trying to do some layering, you know. They started very simple, and they're gonna build on top.
Didn't
of that.
draw it out too much. I love that little you know, in the when they cut off the end, the starts and the end. It makes it like electronic, but not. It's like an organic sound. You know, they get the kind of rhythmic articulation they want to have with that kind of staccato-ness, but they maintain that kind of vocal quality that they're going for, that leggero kind of thing, without too much breathiness. And I think it draws cool attention to it being kind of different and modified.
We're not saying it was out of tune, but it was intentionally not right on pitch.
Yeah. So
and
we were
that-
like confused.
And I think that's really smart because while a regular chromatic line, which is what that was, it was just a chromatic line, but they were sort of not on the center of all the pitches. If it was just centered on the pitches, it would still be catchy, but having those like microtones just a tad bit off, really, it makes your ear go like, what?
Yeah, you're just like,
What?
Ooh.
Which is really smart because, you know, obviously you want the hook to stick in your mind, but having that as a technique is like really, really great for getting things to stick. Because it makes you listen, and then once you listen, it like really, really sticks.
Especially like if you repeat a line for enough times, even if it's like catchy and chromatic, like I feel like the listener will still be like, you know, they'll just kind of tune it out by the end of the song. But like if it's intentionally a little bit out of tune, you'll be like, huh, something's not right. What? Like every time, even at the end. And you're trying to figure out like what's not right. What?
I really liked the rap because it wasn't displaced in any way. There was a continuous subtone vibration that just continues through most of the song. So once I hit to the rap section, it had that. So it didn't feel anyway out of place. So it was very, very nice transition between sections. Yeah, it was just very pleasant to listen to the whole thing because they just explored very low tones and very high tones, and my cochlea feels very good.
I said that the song was so short before pressing play, worried that it was just going to be, you know, it'll end prematurely. But I actually thought the sort of weird structure, how they bring back that major part as the bridge of the song, I think near the end, but it's also the pre-chorus the first time. That was really cool. And the second time they really changed it. And again, I think this whole song is experimenting between how the instruments interact, because there's like a slide chord, lots of that. So when the bass is, you know, that consistent F, and then you have an E major going into an F, that there's a little clash. You hear these mini clashes. But at the same time, the singers' voices also do these microtonal clashes with sort of not only how our ears perceive tonality with the just equal temperament, but also with a lot of the notes because a lot of times the singers are singing in unison with some other instrument, but there are these quarter tones that they go by a little too fast for me to actually think, okay, that's dissonant. but I know that there are microtones in action. So there's also that type of like stuff going on, that type of experimentation going on in this otherwise pretty simple and catchy song. So props to G-I-DLE.
I feel like Gaga with that like metal channeling it.